Captain Rylan adjusted his uniform nervously as he stepped onto the landing platform of Xyloran Prime. The planet's sky shimmered in hues of violet and gold, casting a surreal glow over the massive towers that rose like jagged mountains. Humans had traveled far to meet the Xylorans, a warrior race known across the galaxy for their strength, discipline, and unbroken honor. Rylan had read all the briefing documents, memorized the protocols, and practiced his greetings 100 times. And yet, the moment he saw the first Xyloran warrior striding toward him, his confidence wavered. The Xyloran was taller than any human Rylan had ever seen, easily over 7 feet with armor that gleamed like polished obsidian. Every movement radiated precision and power, as if the very air bent to the warrior's will. Rylan swallowed hard. He had imagined meeting them might be intimidating, but this was something else entirely. "Welcome, Captain Rylan," boomed a voice, rich and commanding, yet oddly musical. The Xyloran extended a massive hand. "I am Vera, commander of the 3rd Guard." Rylan shook the hand with a polite smile, trying not to flinch at the sheer strength gripping his fingers. "It's an honor to meet you, Commander Vera," he said. "We come in friendship representing the United Human Coalition." Vera's eyes, sharp and amber-colored, studied him for a long moment. Then, almost imperceptibly, her lips curved in a hint of amusement. "Humans are unusual," she said finally. "Let us begin the tour. You will see our city, our warriors, and perhaps our traditions." Rylan nodded, trying not to imagine what perhaps our traditions could involve. The Xylorans moved with a fluid grace as they led the humans through colossal halls, walls lined with banners celebrating victories that spanned centuries. Every warrior they passed stopped to nod respectfully, acknowledging the human visitors. Rylan felt a mix of pride and anxiety. Humans were known for their creativity and adaptability, but in pure combat, they were small, fragile creatures compared to Xylorans. He hoped his charm would be enough to make a good impression. As the group approached the training courtyard, Rylan noticed Vera pausing to inspect her warriors. One of them performed an intricate maneuver, leaping over an opponent with precision that seemed almost magical. Rylan's eyes widened. "Incredible," he murmured, "the way they move. It's like dancing." Vera's eyebrow lifted. "Dancing is not usually a compliment reserved for warriors," she said, her voice laced with dry humor. Rylan chuckled nervously. "I didn't mean it that way. I meant the skill, the fluidity. It's remarkable." Vera studied him for a moment, then nodded slightly. "You are different. That is human charm, I think." Rylan felt a flicker of relief. Maybe humans' unpredictability wasn't a disadvantage after all. As the group moved closer to the center of the courtyard, Vera gestured toward a group of warriors polishing their armor. The intricate designs reflected the sun, sparkling in colors Rylan had no names for. He leaned closer, fascinated, and in a sudden burst of enthusiasm blurted out, "Commander Vera, your armor design is amazing. I mean, it really shows your strength and, you wear it very well." For a split second, silence fell. Rylan realized too late that he had probably sounded awkward, maybe even disrespectful. Vera's amber eyes widened, and a faint blush appeared across her cheeks, a rare sign of embarrassment among her kind. Before Rylan could apologize, her hand shot out with lightning speed, giving him a playful slap across the shoulder. Rylan stumbled slightly, his eyes wide. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Vera's voice was steady, but a note of exasperation laced her words. "Humans, you do not know subtlety, do you?" The other Xylorans looked momentarily confused, then a few suppressed chuckles. Rylan's face burned red, not entirely from the slap. He mumbled, "It was meant as a compliment." Vera's lips twitched as if holding back a smile. "Perhaps. But be more careful with your words. Warriors value respect, even from allies." Rylan nodded vigorously. Yes, absolutely. Lesson learned." He made a mental note never to comment on armor again. Not that he would ever forget the shock and speed of that slap. The group continued the tour, but Rylan found himself glancing at Vera, trying to gauge her mood. Despite the initial awkwardness, there was something intriguing about her. She carried authority naturally, but the tiny blush and quick response hinted at depth and personality he hadn't expected. Later, they entered the hall where Xyloran strategy and combat were taught. Holographic displays projected tactical battles across star systems. Rylan's colleagues whispered excitedly, but Rylan's eyes remained fixed on Vera. She moved with commanding authority, explaining formations and tactics with ease. Humans had been trained in their own combat strategies, but Xyloran methods were on another level entirely. "Your species is clever," Vera said, noticing Rylan watching. "Though small in stature, humans find solutions where strength alone cannot." Rylan smiled, feeling a surge of pride. "We do our best. Creativity is our weapon, I suppose." Vera nodded. "Perhaps it is. We shall see if your creativity holds in practical tests." The humans were then invited to observe a combat demonstration. Two Xylaran warriors sparred with incredible speed and precision, moving so fast that Rylan could barely follow. Yet when one of them paused to adjust a stance, the human observers could notice small details: the rhythm, the balance, the focus, which gave them insight that even some Xylarans overlooked. Rylan whispered to his team, "See that? Humans notice patterns. That's something they can't always teach in the academy." Vera overheard and tilted her head. "You speak of humans as if you are one of them. Do you trust your species' instincts so much?" "I do," Rylan said without hesitation. "We may not be the strongest, but we find ways to make up for it." Vera's expression softened slightly. "Confidence is rare, but confidence without recklessness is rarer still." By the time the tour ended, Rylan's nerves had settled somewhat. He had survived the first encounter, and the legendary slap, and had even begun to earn a measure of Vera's respect. The human crew shared glances, whispering about the unusual incident, and Rylan found himself laughing along, realizing that humor might be his secret weapon after all. At the end of the day, as the sun set and the violet-gold sky deepened into sparkling night, Vera escorted the humans to their quarters. Rylan paused, taking in the alien architecture, the way the towers seemed to glow from within, and the quiet hum of Xyloran life. "You have done well today, Captain," Vera said. "For a human, you are unpredictable, and yet useful." Rylan grinned sheepishly. "I'll take that as a compliment, Commander." Vera's lips curved ever so slightly. "Perhaps it is. Remember, Captain, words carry power. Even small words can cause reactions." Rylan nodded, recalling the slap that had started it all. Noted, loud and clear. As Vira departed, Rylan felt a mixture of relief, excitement, and curiosity. Humans were far from perfect, but in a galaxy filled with powerful alien races, their courage, creativity, and willingness to act differently might just make all the difference. Lying on his bunk that night, Rylan replayed the events over and over. The slap, the blush, the awkward compliment. It was all part of the strange, unpredictable world of Xylarans. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that humans were about to leave an impression far beyond what anyone expected. In that moment, Rylan realized that being human, curious, bold, and unpredictable, was a strength all on its own, one that could survive even the most intimidating warriors in the galaxy. And with that thought, he drifted into sleep, unaware that tomorrow would bring challenges, tests, and perhaps even laughter beyond anything he could imagine. The next morning, Rylan awoke to the soft hum of Xylaran machinery and the faint smell of the strange metallic air that surrounded the city. Humans had been given quarters in a tall building that overlooked the training grounds, and from his window Rylan could see warriors moving in perfect synchronization, their armor glinting in the morning light. Despite the previous day's awkward moment, he felt a surge of excitement. Today, the humans were invited to participate in a friendly training exercise, a rare opportunity to see if their species could contribute in ways beyond observation. As the human delegation gathered in the courtyard, Vera approached, her armor reflecting the sun in dazzling patterns. She carried herself with the same calm authority as yesterday, but there was a flicker of amusement in her eyes, as though she remembered the slap incident and found it difficult to suppress a smile. "Humans," she said, her voice carrying across the open space. "Today you will test yourselves against Xyleran methods. Your challenge is to show us your creativity and skill. You are not expected to match us in strength, but intelligence may be your greatest weapon." Rylan straightened his posture and smiled nervously. "We'll do our best, Commander." The exercise began with a basic obstacle course, but even this was far from ordinary. The Xylarans had designed it with towering walls, swinging platforms and balance beams that required incredible coordination. Rylan watched a few Xylarans complete the course with effortless speed, leaping and spinning with the grace of dancers. When it was his turn, he hesitated at the base of the first wall, measuring the jump, his palms sweaty. "Remember," whispered his teammate, a fellow human named Lyra. "We have brains. Think, don't just push." Rylan nodded and scanned the layout. Instead of attempting a brute force climb like a Xylaran, he noticed a small ledge that could act as a stepping point. Timing his jump perfectly, he reached it and continued forward, adjusting his strategy at every obstacle. It was slower than a Xylaran, but efficient. By the time he crossed the finish line, several Xylarans were watching him with genuine interest, not just amusement. Vera approached, her expression unreadable. "You did not move as we expected," she said, "yet you succeeded. Humans are inventive." She paused, then added, "Your approach lacks elegance, but it is effective." Rylan felt a rush of pride. Even if he was awkward, humans' ability to adapt and think outside the box was already gaining recognition. Next came hand-to-hand exercises, a more challenging test of strength and reflex. The humans were paired with younger Xylaran warriors who were instructed to spar lightly. Rylan found himself facing a warrior named Torek, whose arms were as thick as tree trunks. As soon as they began, Rylan realized there was no way to match Torek's brute force. He quickly shifted his strategy, dodging and weaving, using quick footwork to tire his opponent. Torek's strikes were precise and powerful, but Rylan noticed subtle patterns in his movements. Small habits, repeated sequences. Using those insights, Rylan managed to land a few clever counters that drew nods of approval from nearby Xylarans. Vera observed silently, her arms crossed. When Rylan and Torek finished, she said, "You may lack power, Captain Rylan, but your mind guides your actions. That is rare among warriors." The humans continued through several exercises, from balance challenges to tactical simulations, each designed to test their ingenuity. With each success, laughter and admiration began to fill the courtyard. Xylaran warriors whispered to one another, impressed that a species so small could navigate challenges that required more than strength. During a brief break, Rylan found himself walking alongside Vera. She had been quiet for most of the morning, watching the humans' attempts with a critical eye, but now her amber eyes met his. "You are bold," she said. "You do not fear making mistakes in front of others even when your mistakes are obvious." Rylan chuckled. "I think humans have little choice. If we overthink everything, we might never act. Sometimes you just have to try and see what happens." Vera's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Perhaps that is why you survive where others would fail. Predictability is comforting, but it is also limited." As the day progressed, the humans were introduced to a creative challenge. They were asked to design a simple strategy to protect a simulated outpost from a mock invasion. The Xylarans had never seen humans handle such exercises seriously, as their species often relied on strength and speed. Rylan and his team quickly huddled together, using their knowledge of human technology and thinking through the problem from multiple angles. When the simulation began, the Xylarans expected a straightforward attempt. Instead, the humans had set clever traps, used small diversions, and coordinated timing in ways that the Xylarans hadn't considered. Even when a few aspects went wrong, the humans adapted instantly, making corrections and adjusting their tactics in real time. Vera's eyes widened slightly as the simulation concluded. "Remarkable," she said softly. "You take nothing for granted, and yet you find solutions that others cannot see." Rylan felt his chest swell with pride. The slap incident from the previous day seemed a lifetime ago. Now humans were not just visitors or observers. They were showing their worth in ways that even the proud Xylarans could respect. Later, the humans were invited to join a light sparring session with Vera herself. Ryland's stomach tightened. This was the moment he feared and secretly hoped for all at once. As he stepped forward, Vera gave him a measured look. "Do not underestimate yourself, Captain. Even a small opponent can be dangerous if clever." Ryland bowed slightly, then began. Vera's movements were fast and precise, but he noticed a rhythm. Humans had an uncanny ability to recognize patterns and adapt quickly. Using a combination of feints, sudden shifts, and timing, Ryland managed to stay just out of reach of her strikes, sometimes even dodging in ways that surprised her. Vera paused, a small laugh escaping her lips, rare and musical. "You are persistent human." "That is admirable," Ryland grinned. "I do not give up easily. Humans find ways to endure." By the end of the day, the human team was exhausted but exhilarated. Xylarans had begun to understand that humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and capable of thinking in ways that pure strength could not match. Vera, who had once been skeptical of their abilities, now walked alongside Ryland with a new measure of respect. As the sun set, casting long violet shadows over the training grounds, Ryland and his team gathered in the central hall for a simple meal. Xylaran cuisine was strange to human palates, rich textures and unfamiliar spices, but it was shared with laughter and conversation. Vera joined them at the table, sitting beside Ryland. "You humans are unusual," she said, a hint of amusement in her voice. "You make mistakes openly, yet learn quickly. You speak freely, sometimes foolishly, yet your words carry meaning." Ryland laughed. "I think humans do best when we take risks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but at least we try." Vera's amber eyes met his, and for the first time, Ryland saw not only a warrior's pride but a glimmer of respect, perhaps even curiosity. "You are persistent, clever, and surprisingly bold. Humans may yet surprise the galaxy." That night, as Ryland lay in his quarters, he reflected on the day. Humans were small and fragile in the eyes of many alien species, but their ingenuity, courage, and creativity were unmatched. Today, they had shown the Xylarans that strength was not the only path to victory, and somewhere deep inside, Ryland knew that this was only the beginning. Humans were unpredictable, resourceful, and relentless. And in a galaxy of immense power, those traits could make them something truly special. Tomorrow, he thought, would bring new challenges. But for now, humans had earned a small place of respect in the eyes of a warrior race, and that was more than enough to keep his spirits high. The night sky of Xylaran Prime shimmered through the windows, and Ryland smiled. He knew humans had a way of turning even awkward beginnings into opportunities, and with that thought he drifted into sleep, ready for whatever surprises the galaxy would bring next. The morning air on Xylaran Prime was crisp and electric, as if the planet itself sensed that something was about to change. Ryland and the human crew were once again on the training grounds, this time observing advanced combat drills. Laughter and light-hearted teasing had filled the previous day, but today an unusual tension hung in the air. Something felt different. It began with the alarms. A deep, resonant tone echoed across the city, vibrating through the stone floors and shaking the humans to their core. Xylaran warriors immediately dropped their training and moved with swift precision, their eyes sharp and alert. Ryland felt a jolt of adrenaline. This was not a drill. Vera's voice rang out calm but commanding. "All units defend the perimeter. Unknown attackers have breached the outer zones. Humans, stay close to your designated team leaders and follow instructions exactly." Ryland glanced at his fellow humans. Some looked terrified, others determined. He took a deep breath. Fear was natural, but humans were also capable of thinking quickly in unexpected situations. That would be their advantage. The humans were escorted to a command center where holographic displays showed the invading force, a fleet of strange, heavily armed ships approaching Xylaran Prime's orbit. The aliens looked unlike anything humans had studied, creatures with thick, armored shells moving with synchronized precision. They were clearly experienced warriors, but their tactics seemed rigid. Ryland noticed patterns and immediately began analyzing potential weaknesses. Vera approached him. "Captain Ryland, what do you see?" Ryland pointed to a formation on the hologram. "Their attack is strong but predictable. They rely on speed and numbers, not adaptability. If we can force them into unexpected positions, we can gain the upper hand." Vira studied him carefully. Do you believe your people can implement such a strategy? Rylan nodded. We will need to be quick and clever, but yes. Humans may be small, but we can think in ways that brute strength cannot. Vera's amber eyes softened with approval. Very well. Lead your team alongside our units. You will have a chance to prove your worth. The humans were split into small squads, each paired with Zalaran warriors. Rylan's squad moved with Vera to the city's outer defense walls. The attackers were fast, landing troops in concentrated waves. Zalaran shields were strong, but even they could be overwhelmed if the enemy pressed too hard. Rylan shouted instructions, using a combination of hand signals and quick explanations. Humans, distract them from the left flank. Zalarans, hold the line here. Timing is critical. Move on my count. The humans sprang into action. Some created diversions with small energy devices, causing the attackers to hesitate and regroup. Others scaled walls in ways that Zalarans might not have considered, taking positions that offered unexpected advantages. Rylan himself coordinated movements, staying alert to every change in the enemy's strategy. Vera fought beside him, her every strike precise and deadly. Rylan had sparred with her before, but now he saw her in true combat, moving with a grace and power that was awe-inspiring. And yet he also saw opportunities, small gaps where her enemies exposed themselves, gaps that humans could exploit with speed and creativity. At one point, an enemy warrior charged directly at Vera. Without hesitation, Rylan signaled a nearby human to release a smoke device, temporarily blinding the attacker. Vera struck with flawless timing, taking down the enemy. She glanced at Rylan and nodded, a silent acknowledgement of his quick thinking. The battle intensified. The attackers pushed harder, trying to break through the city's defenses. Zalaran warriors were strong, but the humans' ingenuity began to turn the tide. Rylan's team set up traps, rerouted enemy forces, and used unconventional tactics that the rigid invaders had never anticipated. During a lull, Vera approached him again. You are extraordinary, she said, her voice tense but impressed. Your species' unpredictability is effective. I underestimated humans. Rylan shook his head. We only survive because we think differently. Strength is not everything. Timing, observation, and quick adaptation can win battles too. Vera's expression was unreadable for a moment. Then she gave a small, approving nod. You speak wisely, human. Continue. Hours passed and the fighting continued with relentless energy. The humans' unconventional methods began to frustrate the attackers. Their predictable waves broke apart when faced with creative countermeasures. Zalaran commanders observed the humans with new respect, noting how their small size and cleverness made them difficult to anticipate. Rylan's squad reached a central control hub where the attackers were attempting to disable the city's energy shields. Without hesitation, he coordinated a plan with Vera and 2 Zalaran engineers. Humans and Zalarans worked side by side, using speed and ingenuity to restore the shields while luring enemy troops into traps. At one point, a Zalaran warrior was pinned by a particularly large enemy. Rylan quickly formulated a plan. Lyra, distract him from the right. I'll create an opening. With precise timing, Lyra deployed a net device, immobilizing the enemy long enough for Vera to free her comrade. The entire sequence was quick, efficient, and relied entirely on human Zalaran teamwork. By mid-afternoon, the attackers began to falter. Their rigidity and lack of adaptability made it impossible to counter the humans' creative tactics, combined with Zalaran's strength. Rylan noticed the change immediately. Enemy formations became confused, morale faltered, and they retreated in disorder. Vera turned to him as the last invaders fled. Humans, you have done what few warriors could. You are clever, brave, and essential. Today your species has proven its value. Rylan felt a surge of pride. All the awkward moments, the blunders, and even the infamous slap from their first encounter seemed trivial now. Humans had survived and excelled where raw strength alone might have failed. The humans were celebrated alongside the Zalarans that evening. The city held a brief ceremony in the courtyard, banners waving, flames flickering, and music, strange but beautiful, filling the air. Vera approached Rylan and held out her hand. Captain Rylan, you have shown that humans are more than what we expected. Your courage and quick thinking saved lives today. Rylan shook her hand firmly. Thank you, Commander. But we couldn't have done it without your guidance and your warriors. Humans are small, but we thrive with teamwork. Vera's lips curved in a rare smile. You are persistent, intelligent, and bold. I respect that, Rylan laughed quietly. I suppose humans can be unpredictable, but that seems to work in our favor. As the celebration continued, Rylan noticed the human crew mingling with Xyloran warriors, exchanging stories, laughing at missteps, and sharing knowledge. Even in the midst of a dangerous galaxy, humans had carved a space for themselves, not because of brute strength, but because of ingenuity, courage, and their ability to think differently. That night, Rylan returned to his quarters exhausted but exhilarated. He replayed the events over and over in his mind. The smoke diversion, the traps, the teamwork, and Vera's nod of approval. Humans had shown their worth in a galaxy where sheer power often ruled, and he knew this was only the beginning of their reputation as a species capable of remarkable things. He lay down, looking out at the stars over Xyloran Prime. Humans were small in comparison to the mighty alien races around them, but today had proved that their unpredictability, creativity, and courage made them a force to be reckoned with. Rylan smiled, thinking of the journey ahead. The galaxy was full of challenges, but humans had proven that they could rise to meet them in ways no one would expect. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this was just the first of many battles where human ingenuity would make the difference between failure and victory. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, and humans would face them with the same boldness that had carried them through the trials of Xyloran Prime. For the first time since their arrival, Rylan felt a quiet certainty. Humans were more than small, fragile creatures. They were resilient, clever, and capable of standing shoulder to shoulder with the galaxy's greatest warriors. And that thought filled him with pride, hope, and a readiness for whatever lay ahead. The following morning, Xyloran Prime seemed almost peaceful again. Birds with metallic feathers glided through the sky, and the sun painted the towers in shades of gold and violet. The humans walked through the training grounds with a sense of pride, knowing that yesterday they had not only survived, but earned the respect of an entire warrior race. Yet the day was not about drills or tests. It was about celebration and reflection. The Xylarans had organized a feast to honor the humans' contributions. Rylan and his crew were led into a massive hall with ceilings so high that the far edges seemed to touch the sky. Lanterns shimmered like tiny stars, casting light on the polished floors. Long tables were filled with foods the humans had never seen. Shimmering fruits, golden grains that seemed to sparkle, and dishes that steamed with rich aromatic scents. The humans hesitated at first, unsure how to approach such alien cuisine, but Xylorans welcomed them warmly. Vera stood at the head of the hall, her armor now polished to perfection. She regarded the humans with an expression that blended pride and amusement. Today we celebrate not only the safety of our city, but the courage, creativity, and boldness of our human allies. You have shown that even a small species can make a great difference. Rylan felt his chest swell with pride. He remembered the first awkward day, the slap, the embarrassment, the uncertainty. Now he stood among warriors who once seemed unbeatable, and they were praising humans. It was a remarkable feeling, one he would never forget. During the feast, laughter and conversation flowed freely. Rylan noticed that the Xylarans were curious about human customs, asking questions about human celebrations, meals, and even humor. Rylan and his crew explained small details about human life, from simple jokes to common games, and the Xylarans listened with genuine interest. For the first time, humans were not just allies. They were teachers, bringing something new to a proud and ancient civilization. At one point, Vera approached Rylan with a quiet smile. "Captain Rylan," she said, "I must admit your species is unpredictable. That slap incident on your first day, though trivial, revealed your boldness. Humans are unafraid to speak their minds, and perhaps that is why you succeed." Rylan laughed, remembering the moment vividly. "I promise I'll keep my compliments about armor to myself from now on," he said. Vera's lips twitched in amusement. "Perhaps. But do not underestimate the value of honesty. Humans' willingness to act openly has merit." As the meal continued, Rylan observed the interactions between the humans and Xylarans. Children of the warrior race approached the human crew, curious and unafraid. Lyra, one of Rylan's teammates, played a simple game of strategy with a young Xylaran, showing how humans often find solutions in unexpected ways. The child's laughter echoed across the hall, and Rylan realized that the humans' presence had brought not only respect but joy and friendship. After the feast, the humans were invited to a small courtyard for an exhibition of combat techniques. Xylarans demonstrated advanced moves, but this time, the humans were asked to participate. Rylan and his team performed the exercises they had learned, improvising techniques that combined human agility with Xylaran strategies. The result was impressive. Xylarans watched, nodding in approval as humans moved in ways they had never imagined. Vera joined them in the demonstration, facing Rylan directly. Their movements were measured, precise, and yet playful. Rylan remembered the first time they had sparred and how the infamous slap had set the tone for their interactions. Now there was mutual respect, a sense of camaraderie, and even humor in their exchanges. "You have improved," Vera said, dodging a move with ease. "Humans adapt quickly. You may yet become formidable warriors in your own way." Rylan smiled, feeling a mix of pride and relief. "We'll keep learning. Humans are stubborn. We rarely give up." The rest of the afternoon was filled with storytelling and shared experiences. Xylaran elders spoke of battles long past, the rise of their civilization, and the importance of honor and courage. Humans shared tales of their own history, of exploration, resilience, and ingenuity. Though their worlds were very different, common themes of bravery, friendship, and cleverness resonated with everyone present. As evening approached, the humans and Xylarans gathered on a terrace overlooking the city. The sky was painted with the colors of twilight, stars beginning to sparkle above. Vera stood beside Rylan, observing the scene in quiet contemplation. "You have done more than survive, Captain," she said softly. "You have reminded us that strength is not only measured by power. Adaptability, intelligence, and courage, these are also weapons. Humans have shown that even a small species can leave a lasting mark." Rylan looked out over the city, feeling the weight of her words. "Thank you, Commander. But it's not just me. Every human here contributed. We may be small, but together we can do great things." Vera nodded, her eyes reflecting the stars above. "Perhaps that is why your species endures. You do not rely on a single talent or gift. You combine them, adapt, and keep moving forward. That is wisdom." The night ended with a simple ceremony of friendship. Humans and Xylarans exchanged tokens of respect. A small piece of metal shaped by human hands, a woven emblem created by Xylarans. These tokens symbolized trust, unity, and the beginning of a bond that would last long into the future. Rylan returned to his quarters later, exhausted, but elated. He thought back to the moment he had first arrived, nervous and unsure. Humans had faced a mighty warrior race, learned from them, and even contributed to the defense of a city under attack. They had proved that courage, intelligence, and creativity were strengths that could stand alongside brute force. Lying in his bunk, Rylan realized that the galaxy was vast, full of challenges and sometimes dangerous. Yet humans had something unique: the ability to adapt, to surprise, and to turn even awkward or difficult situations into opportunities. That quality had won them respect, friends, and perhaps a place among the galaxy's great civilizations. He smiled, thinking of Vera, the slap, and the lessons of the past days. Humans were not the largest or the strongest, but they were bold, clever, and capable of achieving the extraordinary, and that thought filled him with hope for the adventures yet to come. As sleep took him, Rylan knew one thing for certain: humans had a way of leaving an impact wherever they went. Today it had been Xylaran Prime. Tomorrow it might be a distant star system. And no matter the challenge, humans would face it with ingenuity, courage, and a spirit that refused to be underestimated. The galaxy was big and the humans were small, but they had proven that even the smallest could shine brightly among the stars.